So here are our featured games for this week, the ones that I know I'll be trying to keep an eye on. We talked about it briefly earlier on. Indiana, Wesleyan and Marian locking it up in Indianapolis for this one. It's going to be a great game for the Knights to prove if they have improved this season to compete with some of the best in NAIA football with Indiana Wesleyan.
Yeah. I mean, this is should be the two best teams. And I know it's an East and West now. It's a weird deal how it works. But they are the two best teams, I would say, in the Mid-States Football Association, East and West. And it's going to prove itself, who is the best this weekend. So I think it's going to be, obviously, it's very pivotal when it comes to postseason, how things are going to shake out. So it's a big one, obviously.
Yep. And the interesting thing for me, with Northwestern losing and Indiana Wesleyan being as impressive as they are, is will the coaches move Grandview to number 2, or will Indiana Wesleyan jump them because Indiana Wesleyan has maybe been more impressive? I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked by it. I think the fact Grandview being undefeated and, winning all the games on their schedule will get them there. But I'm not going to beat my fist on the table and go, "What are you doing?" Like, if they're 2 or 3, that's just where it's going to be, Pat.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a dogfight. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
And playing in Indianapolis is a big deal. Marian is very tough to beat at home. I will tell you that with tons of experience with that. It's going to be a dogfight. There's no doubt. It will be the premier game in the Mid-States Football Association to this point. And it's going to be should be a great football game.
We got Bethel, the Wildcats, McKenzie, Tennessee, going to Cumberland, Tennessee to play this one. Lebanon, Tennessee. Cumberland just coming off of a loss to Campbellsville on the road. They'll get this one at home against Bethel. Bethel has been coming around, like I mentioned, the last couple weeks, and maybe they didn't play their best football in weeks 2 through 4, but they're starting to play better football, and this will be a nice test for them in Lebanon as the Phoenix play host to the Wildcats.
Now, is this going to be the game? If Bethel can win this game to make you a believer? Is this the one?
It's the next one. It's the
next
one
after that.
You got to prove it every game to me. Every game.
Every game.
No, I injuries happen. You don't look good early on. I get that taste in my mouth, and it's hard for me to overcome. And I also look at the other thing too, being like, wow, look at all of the talent that Bethel lost last year, and they're still getting it done this year. But I'm becoming a believer. I'm starting to get there slowly but surely. The Wildcat fans, they don't care. They're like, that guy in North Dakota talking about us. What's he know? He doesn't know the difference between a crawdad and a crawfish. Anyway, sorry. That's different. That's not even that same kind. That's not. It is actually. Trying to think of something. It'd probably be more of a whiskey thing. Like, he probably drinks Jack Daniels and thinks it's Dickel or something like that. I don't know.
Not a bourbon, that's for sure.
I'll move on. I'm just burying myself at this point. Montana Tech at Montana Western. Again, shocker. We have a game of the week out of the Frontier Conference. That is just so unlike them, Pat. And Montana Western had the bye week, an extra week to prepare for Montana Tech. Tech just week after week after week, having to play some of the top teams in the NAIA. I'm giving the edge to Montana Western because of that bye week and because they have this game at home, but will not be shocked if Montana Tech comes away with a win. I think Western, that extra week to prepare and heal themselves up a little bit, that's going to be the difference against Tech, who's just such a physical team.
I don't want to make any predictions of any game in this league. You just don't. I don't want to do it. Yeah, I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm not a gambler. I wouldn't if I had the opportunity to. It's too difficult. And I would agree with you. I think Western, because of the circumstance of having the bye week, Tech just playing a very physical, hard-fought game against a great Southern Oregon opponent. It's no question. Montana Western's at home in, I think, Game 3 now, the new stadium. So, Kraft new stadium. So, that's going to be a great crowd and tons of energy. And that, that those teams have played for how many years? My goodness, one of the long-standing rivalries, I'm sure, in the NAIA. So that's going to be a good one. And there's no doubt. And we say this every single week. And again, this could just be a Frontier Conference podcast. There's no doubt. We talk about every week, every single game, every matchup, and we do slight some of the ones that probably deserve more time. But there's huge matchups like this each and every week we have to discuss. So this is going to be one of the premier games. Easy for me to say, premier games again in the NAI and in the Frontier Conference.
And I picked the featured games of any top 25 matchup is going to get on this list. And then, ones that mean the most in the conference. And every time the Frontier Conference goes to another week, there's another top 25 matchup. So I think Montana Western, Michael Palandry, and the entire crew up there getting a chance to heal up a little bit, get themselves right. Coach Norse is going to get those guys ready. But Montana Tech, man, don't ever count out the ore diggers. Don't ever count out the diggers from Butte, as they like to say. The keep your eye on game. Oh, I'm sorry. So we got the paint bucket game, Jamestown at Valley City State. This game not meaning a whole lot in the North Star Athletic Association at this point because Dickinson is running away with the league and nobody else is catching up with them. But nonetheless, it is a rivalry game where they'll play for the paint bucket, which is one of the oldest rivalries in NAIA football. Then you've got Lindsey Wilson at Cumberland's, kind of that top 25 team with a team that has been scary at times this year, Pat, but just has been able to finish games. Southern Oregon gets Rocky Mountain, who gave some fits early on to College of Idaho last week, and Southeastern is at Florida Memorial. So 4 pretty good games here, Pat. Any one catching your eye or one that you want to talk about?
Shocker, I'm going to the Frontier Conference, Southern Oregon, Rocky Mountain, because Rocky Mountain can score points, right?
Yep.
In Southern Oregon, we know the type of team they are. You're talking about a gauntlet of games, and now, okay, hey, you got Rocky Mountain now, who is a tremendous offense, can score points. You have to go on the road again to the state of Montana. Not easy if you're Southern Oregon.
No.
And I'm a bit concerned because I want to see this team. I know the quality of team that this is. You watch them, and this is a scary game. I'm just going to tell you right now, just having to go on the road and after this gauntlet, this is going to be a challenge for the Raiders.
Yeah, the one that I've got my eye on is actually Lindsey Wilson and Cumberland's. Shan Housekeeper's team at Cumberland's has been right in some key games this year. They just haven't been able to finish them off. And Lindsey Wilson, they've got that early season loss to Texas Wesleyan. They've been undefeated ever since, rolling right along. I look at the Blue Raiders having to go on the road to Cumberland's. This could be a game that if Cumberland's knocks them off, now all of a sudden Lindsey Wilson has a second loss. They drop a little bit in the ratings, and it's hey, we got to win the Mid-South if we want to make the postseason this year. So that's the biggest reason why I'm saying keep your eye on this one. In the Sun Conference, Southeastern, I think they're the third best team right now in that conference. I think they will beat Florida Memorial, but this is a road game. Strange things happen, but Southeastern is one of those teams that has been playing very good football this year. They're undefeated, and they're going to start getting into that gauntlet of the Sun Conference, having played St. Thomas, having played Kaiser here in just a little bit, but they got to get through Florida Memorial first.
Yeah, I was thinking Southern or Southeastern's one of those teams like we've slided just a little bit. I haven't talked a whole lot about. And again, they've got some big games coming up, which we certainly will be discussing this team. But they're an undefeated football team, and this is kind of the start, the Florida Memorial game of some big ones coming up for them. They deserve our attention. They're an undefeated team for a reason and playing well.